Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rochester Real Estate Show. As always, Jason Mancuso here with the Anthony Butera team at Keller Williams Realty.
And
Joined today by the lovely and talented Tom Fox, who it's been a while since he's done this, but it's been a while since
it's
well,
been a
you've
while.
been with us for a while.
Yes,
It's been a while since you've done this show.
it's correct. Last
Welcome
time I
back.
did this, I think it was you and I and Anthony, and it was around
On a card
it
table.
was on a card table.
Mhm.
Uh,
We've come a long way.
we've come a long way.
We've got a bush and everything. Yes.
I'm a little disappointed. I
We're
don't see
trying.
a couch or anything like
We're
that
trying.
to sit
That's
on.
one step at a time, Tommy. One
Well,
step at a time.
Maybe next time.
Tom is our listing director, which he provides support for all the agents on our team for any seller-related business, listing-related business. Part of that, he manages the sales at a new construction tract that we have in Hilton, Wilder Estates.
Yep.
Shout out to Concal LLC and
Yep. Carlo
Carlo
Galea.
Galea.
Yep. Does a really wonderful job over there. Yep.
Fantastic custom builder in town.
Yep.
So with that said, segue into the topic of the day of the show is new construction. Just kind of a crash course, 101 level anyway, to have a discussion about, all things of building a new house versus buying something, existing on the market.
Yeah. And I love doing this because, I think every time I'm on this this podcast
Show, Rochester Real Estate Show.
on the Rochester Real Estate Show, I usually talk about new construction. It's something that's it's every now and then it catches fire. You know what I mean? Like right now, I have lots of inquiries in the new year about building. I think people are trying to get in, around the June or July time frame. So lots of inquiries. Our model has been definitely flooded with people on Saturday and Sunday. 5, 6 couples through each time. So Peter Riccardi's out there on Sunday. So big shout out to Peter for doing that for us on Sundays. But and I think why that's becoming so popular is especially because we're in Hilton is because everybody wants to be in Hilton. It just seems that there's nothing in Hilton. There just isn't.
Well, I think we can. That's at the micro level to Hilton, right? I think we can back this up even to a macro national level. And when you when you look at the data, and we've talked about this before, but since 2007 with the housing crash and the economic crash then caused by the housing industry, essentially, newly built homes year over year have been underbuilt by it was running at about 1 million homes per year for a solid decade. So whatever the numbers are, roughly speaking, there's 10 to 15 million homes that haven't been built to keep pace with the demand of the housing industry in general at a macro level, right? And that's ultimately one of the factors as to why we're in the seller's market that we've been in. We'll continue to be in it, not as that as a whole, but this is again, number of factors, but this is a topic.
Yes.
And boiling it down to a local level, limited inventory, not enough supply to meet the demand. There's new construction's option throughout, the county and the surrounding areas.
Yeah, there is.
But not enough to where it balances the market, I guess, right?
No, there's not.
So, just starting with that, kind of leading into the topic of, okay, you're a buyer. You're struggling to get an offer accepted, or you're struggling to find a home that you like. Don't forget about building a new home. Now, obviously, you got to have a budget for it, right? But this is where we start, and we'll have this discussion here today I think really as a reminder to the option, but also getting into the a little bit of the ins and outs with it.
So. Yeah, I think when people call me, I think people are just interested in explain the process, right? What's the process? How long does it take? What's the down payment? And then they always want to tell me, here's why we're looking. we've been looking for 6 months, 8 months, a year, whatever it is. We've put multiple offers in on houses that are, 400,000 and 425, and we have to overbid on it. And then, or even 385 to 425. I guess that's probably a good number.
Mhm.
And then, but I still got to put 35, 40, $50,000 into it to make it where we want. And then they want to understand what's out there for them. What can you do for me? I mean, if I'm going to spend that kind of money anyways, why not build what I want? And I always tell people, listen, you're going to find houses, and even when I work with buyers, you got people who love the street, hate the house, love the street, love the bathroom, hate the kitchen. When you build, you can do everything you want.
Right.
You can build whatever you want. And the thing is at least what we offer, and I know a lot of the subdivisions around are really nice, but our subdivision, like what I love about it is, if they're country lots, not on top of each other, it's not a postage stamp lot. There's a mixture of new, young and old. You can build what you want for the same price you would have bid it on, and then put money into the house.
Sure.
So that's usually what I try to bring people in and help them understand. And most people will get something priced out if they can afford it based on their price point. So like when people are out looking for houses, why people ask me too, well, why build than just going existing?
Yeah.
In my opinion, you got to ask yourself, what's your budget first? What's your wants? And then you try to match up your budget and your wants and your needs. It could be school district. It could be, the type of house. It could be the type of lot. And you just you're trying to help the person. You're not trying to put them in existing or new. It's what fits for the person.
Sure.
And that's usually what I try to do.
I love that approach. So with that said, what's the most, common reason why new construction becomes an option to focus on compared to buying an existing home? I mean, you alluded to some of them in terms of the competition for buying existing.
Mhm.
What do you come across most commonly as to, why should I focus on a newly constructed home, a newly built home, compared to something that's existing, that's already built?
I think people who are building a house to raise a family in, if there's a small price difference based on what you would have paid or overpaid or through that bidding process, I should say. I don't like to say overpaid, but through the bidding process.
Sure.
And you can get exactly what you want. That's kind of the two main reasons is I can get exactly what I want. And, I have the ability to do things, the way I want, where I want it to do it. And it just depends on the person, it depends on the people. But
So how often do you run into buyers that are seriously considering both options? Like at what
all the
point?
time.
Well, at what point then does it become, all right, I'm laser focused on building new and that's where I'm going? Because buying an existing home and not, whether you don't have the budget to build or, the products that are offered in locations that you're looking in, may not fit your desires or needs, right? But like at what point is it like, okay, the existing home market isn't going to do it for me, and I need to lock in and really, consider new construction options?
I have people who they just want to build. Some people come out of their parents' house and like, you know what? This is what I want. I want to build what I want to build, and this is how I want it. And then there's some people who are like, I encourage them to go out and look, because if you go out and look enough, and especially if you're looking in a specific area, you're going to come back to say, well, there's nothing out there the way I want it.
Mm-hmm.
And or in the school district, or whatever the case may be. And that's when they come and say, listen, I'm done. I want to build. This is what I want. If I can do it for this particular price point, let's get it done. And where we're at is we're 180 days from the shovel in the ground until you're completed.
Yeah.
So if people are coming to us today, and I've had this conversation earlier today, I mean, we're looking at probably May, June timeframe to get into a house. It's perfect. Kids are out of school. They can get acclimated to the summer. Meet their families, meet the kids of the track, and then go back to school.
Got it. So getting into the advantages and disadvantages of building new, you just touched on, it could be both, right? In terms of time that's required to build a house, right? But let's start with the advantages. What are, rattle off what the pros are of building a new home.
I think building new is you don't have to worry about anybody else's hidden secrets in their house.
Sure.
I mean, you're getting a brand new house. Not only are you getting a builder's warranty, but you're going to get product warranties on your roof, your siding, your appliances are probably most likely going to be new. I hope they'd be new. Your flooring. That's what I tell people. You got all sorts of product warranties on top of the builder's warranties that's going to keep you going. So you don't have to worry about anything. That's a pro, right?
Yeah.
The other pro is, it's like I said, no one's lived in that house. It's your house. You can say no one's lived in the house. There's something to be said with that. Or trying to knock the old out of something else. You got something brand new.
I like that. Knock the old out of it.
Yeah, and some people, do a nice job of it. But some houses are really so much old you're going to knock out of that house.
Well, and it's look at we're 2024 right now. You have a 2024 built home.
Yeah.
I mean, there's plenty of examples in our market, especially when you get into city living, where there's homes that are 120 years older than that.
And
what comes with that?
I'm glad you said that. So you got a 124-year-old home, okay, and you can insulate that to the best of your ability. You can do whatever you want. But these are all blow tested. These got to go through the town. These things are buttoned up nice and tight. So your energy bills, you got an Energy Star house. You got 0.30 windows. You got a 30-year architectural roof. You got the siding. You got the insulation board sometimes underneath the siding. I mean, at least I know. I've worked with a few different builders. You know this, and those houses are all tested to the point where your energy bill is going to be a hell of a lot better than you buying a house with single pane windows that you can't do anything with for 6 years, and now you feel your the wind on the back of your neck when you're watching TV.
Right. So I mean, inevitably, anything that's built new is going to be a better quality product than is existing.
Yeah.
Most of the times.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put you on the spot here. I'll quiz you. Let's take the most quality, best, most reputable, I should say, builder from 1960. Okay. Built a really solid house back then.
Yeah.
Right. And, over time, it's been well maintained.
Yeah.
How much of a difference are we talking from that house that's well maintained and updated to something that's brand new?
I think there's a big difference. I think, like you said, there's only so much you can do with an older house. Let's start with the foundation. The foundation, a lot of these guys, they're putting the rubber wall around the basement, or they're doing full concrete basements where there's no block. The water penetration alone for moisture in your basement is you can't match that. 1960, you didn't do that. Okay.
Fair.
You got the Owens Corning 30-year architectural roof that we use. They didn't use that. A lot of times, I sold roofing, siding, and windows at one point, and the ice and water shield is even different the way they do the roofs now. I mean, you can ice and water shield an entire house and not even put shingle on it. It's not going to leak. I mean, the products have come such a long way that they couldn't compare to that back then.
The pure or the quality of the product, the material itself, I should say,
it's come such a long way.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's like I said, even the windows. I mean, you get a 0.30 value, which is Energy Star rated window. That window now, if that you get a seal failure, generally speaking, a lot of those companies will guarantee that seal failure. I mean, where, in 1960s house, you would have to do all those windows, but you're looking at 10, 15 grand to do those windows.
Sure. Significant investment.
So then you asked me, you said, all right, well, that's the benefits of building a house. I mean, but let's say you can't afford to build that house, because let's be honest, these houses are, they're a little pricey now. They were at a certain price point, and now they're a lot more than what they used to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really depends on what your price point is. And, maybe you find a piece of land that you got a house on. I mean, there are benefits just to finding what you want, where you want it, and not building. I'm just saying that if you have the money and you can't find what you want, and you want a great product in a great area, and you want your kids to grow up around people or whatever the case may be, and you're in a neighborhood at least, those are great opportunities to do so.
Yeah.
But it doesn't discount that you can find a great piece of land somewhere. You can find a house that maybe, okay, I got the shell, I can remodel it myself. Maybe you're handy. I'm not handy. So building is my thing. I mean, maybe you're handy. Maybe it's your thing to fix the bathroom, to do all these different projects, and you do one at a time. There's benefits to both. It just depends on where you're at and who you are.
Sure.
And the funds that you have to do it. Because let's be honest, when you build a new house, most of that is all in your mortgage. And when you get an existing house, now you bought the house, but now you got the bathroom to do it, it's 10 grand. Sure. Now you got, the kitchen to do it, it's 35, 40 grand. Those are extra added expenses on top of those the house
Well,
expense.
so
You know what I mean?
what you're saying for the most part, you get a brand newly built home, and assuming you're not, like cutting the corners when it is built,
Yeah,
right, to save on initial costs, like it's all done.
it's done,
You're
man.
not updating that bathroom next year, like
You don't have
may
to do
want to with
anything.
the old pink
You don't got to do
70s,
anything for quite some time,
bathroom.
man. You don't got
Yeah,
to do anything for it. I mean, I was in my house 17 years, and during COVID, like everybody else on the planet, that's when I updated my house. But
sure.
17 years I was in that house, and we built it, and not everybody can do it. Like I said, I was very blessed to be able to do that at that time, and now we just finally remodeled after 17 years.
Sure. Disadvantages. What are, what's not going to be talked about often that buyers should be aware of in terms of what a disadvantage to building is. I mean, you talked about one in terms of time that it takes, right? I mean, we're
Yeah.
6 months is I don't want to say a best
So
case scenario, but
okay.
like plenty of builders go over that, right?
So
So timing may be one.
so let me tell you what the most biggest hurdle we have to go over is when our builder won't build unless you're non-contingent upon if you had a house to sell. Let's say you have a house to sell, right?
Hmm.
And you got to sell that house, but you need the proceeds of that house to put towards the new house, like most people do, right?
Hmm.
There has to be the contingency removed before he would dig. So the question is where do you go in that 6 month period of time while you're trying to do that? So let's say you could sell your house, but it's a hot time to sell your house, but now you got to move you and your family to your in-laws. That's a disadvantage.
Sure.
However, give Lisa Roberts a shout out at Premium Mortgage, who we use her quite often to help with bridge loans or different types of scenarios to figure out how can we not let that happen.
Yeah.
So we've gotten pretty good at the not so fun part of building, of trying to bridge that gap, no pun intended, to try to figure out how
Yeah.
we would get people to move once into the house.
So overall, to answer a disadvantage topic could be, just the logistics involved from a timing and
Oh, yeah.
the finance or the money type aspect of
Then you got to figure out,
building.
let's say you do figure that out and they can stay in their house. I mean, we've been doing this long enough that I know that once drywall gets to be put in that house, it's time to put the house on the market. Because I know I got 45 to 60 days,
Sure.
because that's generally the time you're going to close on a house anyways, right?
Yeah.
I know that, Carlo calls you, he goes, hey, Tom, drywall's going in. Okay, get that house on the market, because now I know that I have that time to work with. It's knowing.
Well, that's sorry to interrupt, but that's the professionalism and the experience that comes into
Yes,
play to know how to go
but you have
about
to
it.
go through some growing pains to figure that out too.
Sure.
And we've had that track like 7 years now, and you figure that out after a while. But those are some of the woes, right? Some of the other woes is it can get costly.
Yeah.
I mean, you can. The good news is a lot of these builders, at least I know our builder, we do a lot of extras as normal, like people would have. Our standards would be other people's extras,
Hmm.
and if you get into a house where like I can't live with that standard cabinet, you're going to be spending some more money in the cabinets, or you're spending more money in electrical, or you're spending more money on your floor. Some people just it's hard for people to get over. Like, I got to have everything all at once.
Hmm.
Where sometimes I'm like, listen, if you got the shell, you got everything you want, you got you got the granite contracts we offer standard, like at least we do that. You don't have to do the LVT or the hardwoods or the extended cab. Just do the things you can't do a second time. Like, try to be smart, and I try to help people save their money, because that's the other woe, is you really can get deep into spending some money.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to.
Sure.
And I try to help people not spend as much money. Carlo does too. He's very good about telling people, hey, listen, you realize if you go down this road that this could take you here and take you here and take you here.
Right.
Because generally speaking, after you get into the process, where do people spend their money? They spend their money on the kitchen, spend their money on electrical, and they spend their money like in bathrooms.
Electrical,
like
meaning lights all over the place,
Oh, yeah.
switches,
Because we're going to give you code.
Wi-Fi, or
We're going to give you code.
Yeah.
But if you're a guy who wants a workshop in his basement, you want 3 or 4 extra outlets, or you want like something different. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
You want every single outlet to have the USB charger or whatever, the night lights and whatnot. It's going to add up.
and obviously, our builders, his primary business is like electrical business, so it's like that's easy for us, of course. But
Right.
it can get pricey. So to me, those are the woes.
Yeah.
It's, maybe in between time and some of the extra money that you might spend. And I will tell you this. So here's another thing too that I found. A lot of times, people will go into a builder without an agent. And I don't know if that's such a good idea because even though you're working with the builder, it's nice to have somebody keep track and help you understand, especially someone who understands the business.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people who've gone into tracks who've called me later on and said, man, I really wish I would have called you because I didn't realize this, or I didn't ask this question. I didn't ask that question. And so for people who are out there right now looking for houses and are going to these builders without an agent, I wouldn't recommend that because
Well,
I think it's helpful to have somebody ask the right questions that you might not know because we're in it every single day.
yeah, and listen, it's not to issue a blanket statement that every builder or every builder's rep from a sales standpoint is just out to gouge you and out to take advantage of you if you're not asking questions.
Right.
Having ultimately the consultant on your side to be able to guide you through this process and know what to ask and know what steps to take and know what to think about at even the intricate level of like, okay, I mean, it is and it isn't real estate agent stuff, right? To where you're advising on finishes and stuff like that, but how to think about it from an experience standpoint after the fact and what to think about, I should say, is key. So, I mean, how often are you running into, because we've talked about cost a few times. And building new, it's like you want it to go hand in hand in terms of you can get whatever it is that you want to get because you're building a new house.
Right.
How often does it happen to where it's like, oof, what I really want, I can't afford
all the time.
Yeah.
I had someone come in last week and another agent's clients came in. They sent him to me. And the agent's a good friend of mine. And he's like, I'm sending them over. And they just, and we were in a house that's, almost $500,000. It's got waterfall countertops. It's got every bell and whistle on the planet. And there were some things that they didn't particularly, they wanted some more things. And I'm like, okay, well, we can do anything you want. We're a custom builder. But it just got to the point where they're like, well, I'm not paying that. I'm like, well,
yeah,
okay. At some point you have to have some reasonability on, okay, if I'm going to do this house, here's the budget I got to have, and I got to try to stick with the budget. And that's why I always go back to the people. I'm telling them, listen, you got to do the things you can't do a second time. Try to spend your money reasonably. You can do that LVT, like I said, after the fact. That's what I'm talking about. You have to have someone who can guide you in the right direction. But somebody, all the time, people come in. Everyone's on a beer drinking
champagne taste with a beer budget.
A beer budget. And that happens all the time. Hell, I'm like that. But you know what I'm saying?
Well, that not only that, but just in general, the wants and needs of your next house, right?
Yeah.
Like if you need whatever it is, just generally speaking, but say 2,000 square feet in Greece, and existing homes are selling for about 300,000. A newly built home at 2,000 square feet in the same area is not going to be 300,000.
Probably,
it may be, in some cases double that.
It's like mid-fours.
Yeah, I was going to say, but I guess at the end of the day, as a buyer, you have to understand the economics of it.
Yeah,
and there's like a give and take, right? Yep. Yes, it's going to be more expensive, but it's brand new. The alternative of it's less expensive, but it's old, and you then have to update it over time. And whether or not it becomes a zero-sum game is dependent.
Every person is different, Jason.
Sure.
I mean, it really is. I mean, I never just try to tell people, oh, listen, when I'm working with them, well, here's my budget. This is what I want to do. Those questions usually come out after.
Right.
And even if they want to build, I think sometimes it's good to show somebody the existing so you can have a good comparison. Listen, at the end of the day, what's our job? Our job is to get somebody the best deal we possibly can, and make sure that
or what they're looking for,
or what they're looking for, and make sure they're happy. Because when they're happy and they got what they wanted and they had a pleasurable experience, we hope to get referrals from that.
Sure.
So I mean, I go out of my way to really make sure people have that experience. Like I say, I do the best I can with it. I'm not always successful. I do the best I can, but it's not about.
You're pretty successful.
Yeah, it's not one or the other. It has to be what's in it for them. And a lot of times they're like, you know what, man, that one house we saw, this thing over here, I love that house. We're gonna put it off. Okay, that's totally fine.
Right.
And then and then our builder was like, what happened to him? I'm like, well, they found out that one house, and but a lot of times they're like, nah, man, we've seen enough.
Time
the price, time to build, we're ready to go. And sometimes it takes 3-6 months before they're come back.
Sure. So let's, I guess give me the Cliff Notes version of the process. You mentioned 6 months on average.
It's 6 months on average. Like I said, you have to be non-contingent with us. I'll just give you our thing, because I mean, every builder is different. A lot of builders don't have any contingencies. I think that protects the builder and them, because you don't want to build a custom home for somebody and then all of a sudden they can't do anything with it, right? Especially with their tastes and their cabinetry and their colors and all that other stuff. So it's for us, it's like $20,000 down. Deposit wise, that's at contract time, and then it's an end loan, which means you don't pay anything until the end.
Okay. Now, again, this is relative to the development that we represent.
Yep. But most
it's going to vary. The process is going to vary for each builder.
There's definitely, some have builders loans, draw loans and stuff like that. We don't do that. I know there's where, hey, okay, if you got 10,000 up front, then it's another 15,000, then it's another, 20,000. And before you know it, you're paying the whole thing. We don't do that. And that can be stressful on people who don't have that kind of money in the bank to do those types of things. Sure. So for us, it's like I said, non-contingent, $20,000 down.
So at what point? So we've got a contract. I'm agreeing. I'm going to build. I put the $20,000 on. At what point am I picking out colors and?
Well, so I was going to go there. So the next piece is, after we get the deposit, then at least our builder Carlo, what he'll do is he'll order the plans. A lot of times it's through Greater Living. Most of the time it's through Greater Living. If it was an actual architect, we go back to the architect, whatever the case may be. But he'll order those. They usually come back 2 to 3 weeks. In that time frame, he's got it down to a science where he'll go to the town and apply for all those permits and the staking out and all that other things. Then you start seeing stakes everywhere. Then they come back in, and now we got the big, build prints, right?
Yeah.
Not the small one that we brought to the table to show what we want to build. Now you got the big one.
Well, okay. So before we go any further, you're going under contract. You have an accepted offer between you and the builder.
Yep.
You have a plan picked out and
Yes.
it's priced out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I was to go back to the beginning, we don't even sit down with the builder until we've agreed on pricing, general pricing for the plan itself.
Got it.
Obviously, then we sit down with the builder and go to contract.
Got it.
Okay. But anyways, as soon as those blueprints come back, we go page by page, because sometimes people don't realize that, you got basement windows and you got an egress window now. Egress windows are awesome, by the way. Egress windows are like, it's just so much extra light in the house that like for my house, I don't have that. I wish I did. And I don't think you do either, but like, it's so nice, but it's almost like it's a big natural light. And they got the ladder and everything like that, but you can move those around. I don't know if you know that. And then people are like, oh, I want to move here. I'm like, do you really want to do that? You might have a patio there.
Sure.
If you got patio furniture, you're going to try to climb out a window. You don't want to be climbing through patio furniture. So we go through every single room. Okay, can I bump out this closet? I don't need my bathroom that big, and then we kind of just tweak little things. And a lot of times we can tweak them right there. Sometimes you got to go back to the architect, depending on what they want to do. Once those plans are all situated, from there, you're walking out with your roofing, your plumbing, and then the siding. So basically, your roofing and your siding is really the first things you walk out with. Then we send you to a VP or something like that, VP Supply. And then VP Supply will, Vinny over there will help you out and pick up. Those are the first three things.
That's just kind of picking out colors, right? Yeah, I mean, they're different products, sure, but.
Yeah. So like I said, the first thing you got to pick out your roof.
Yeah.
Then you got to pick out your siding.
Okay.
Then you go to the plumbing, and then it's the electrical. And then after electrical, then you can go like the Aero kitchens or wherever. Everybody's got corners. Everybody's got everything that they need.
Yeah.
And then they're going to design your kitchen and so on, because the plan is a certain way. But you might want a little tweaking. You might put like a lazy Susan in. It might not be there. You do all those tweaks, and then you're just constantly going through the process and sending you places, and you're
customizing your home. This is the customization of the home.
Customizing your home, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All that's finalized. Build or build.
Yep. Build or build.
Simply put.
Wait
for it to be done. Wait for the town to get a certificate of occupancy.
Yep. And then, obviously there's lots of tests to go into that. Like I said, the plumber has to have a certain test. Electrical people have to have a certain test. The heating and air conditioning people have to have a certain test. The town has to go through certain processes with every single contractor to make sure that that's up to the standard of the town, right?
Mm-hmm.
So all those things got to get passed. And then, like I said, when we're ready to close, then we do, you're doing a final grade. And then, generally speaking, from a final walkthrough standpoint, that's when you come with the little sticky pads, like the bright yellow, sticky things. And, the builder's with us and we're saying, okay, oh, geez, you missed that little spot there. You got a little nick there or whatever. And you're putting things over here. He's all right, I'll call the painter back. Okay, I'll call so-and-so back over here. And you're getting everything ready. It's generally a couple of days before closing.
Sure.
And then this way, everything's all done and get ready to move in. Sure.
Make it sound easy.
Honestly, it's tedious, but if it's done correctly and you have a good, solid process to go through, I can honestly say I don't have too many people calling me bent out of shape with the process. I just don't have that.
Well, so here's how I was just thinking about it. Now, I'll say the opposite of what I'm going to say right now in terms of like the person who just wants to be, driving by or on site every weekend, checking the place out, thinking, just making sure everything looks right. But what I'm going to say is like, if I can picture myself, it would be okay, honey, this makes sense. Let's do it. I'm happy with this layout. And then, hey, go meet with the kitchen guy, whatever you want. And I know the town's going to give us a clean bill. Like this house, we're not moving in unless the house is good. That would be my style. Like, okay, why don't we move it in? Let's go.
And I mean, honestly, I'm sure a lot of people, like I know your wife. And
I'm probably the rare exception.
She probably would win regardless. I know my wife would win in a lot of those things too. So who am I kidding? But at the end of the day, you go through the process together, and you're sitting down. And
the point that I make to that is that there's no way. I mean, trust the process in that you're going to be left with a good product and you're going to be happy with it. So long as you're going about these selections the right way. And it's like, it's a lot to it, and you're building a new home from scratch, right? And everything, digging a hole in the ground,
right down to your handles on your door,
right? But like, I'm just, and this just came into my head now, but I'm just picturing like, in theory, you could just show up the day of closing or for the final walkthrough and be like, I love it.
I don't recommend it.
I get it, but I'm just, but you, everything. My point is that it's not like this is some sort of, loosey-goosey cut corner type of thing.
It's not.
It can't happen that way. The municipalities, et cetera, like they don't allow it to.
No, I mean, the good news is, and like I said, I mean, I've seen a lot of builders do a really nice job. So I mean, this is everybody, okay? But I know for us, Carlos been doing it so long that the process it's pretty smooth for the most part. Yeah. And you said I'm going to be that guy that comes every weekend. That's probably not going to be okay unless Carlo has a strict policy, especially a lot of people.
It's a liability thing.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's liability. So you got the young kids are running around and there's no railings up.
Right.
So I want people to enjoy the experience.
Sure.
If they want to go see the house, like, hey, Tom, we want to see the house, Tuesday night, man, we're really excited. I understand they put the cabinets in.
Yeah. I get it.
If you're not excited, I'm excited for them.
Yeah. I understand.
So I go meet them. But I tell them, I'm like, listen, you guys do me a favor. If you cannot bring your kids, until we get railings or, whatever the case, whatever stage we're in, drywall, something. I don't want to see anybody getting hurt. And Carlo go, listen, Carlo's very protective of that. He wants to make sure everyone's safe. He goes, but you got to be with them.
Yep.
And I go through the house with them. But it's fun.
Yeah.
And it's hard to get people out of the house.
No, I get it.
You're like, all right,
no, part of my point there is like, if I'm, and this is me, I can't hang a picture on a wall, as I said.
I can't either.
But it's like, if I'm going and looking at like the framing or, how they're running the plumbing or the electric, I don't know, I'm looking at it anyway. So it's just like, hey, let these guys cook in the kitchen.
Well, and the thing is we've had, sometimes people are like, oh, damn, wasn't I supposed to have like a half wall there or something like that?
Sure.
I mean, listen, things happen.
Right.
I mean, has people not come around and had no problems? Absolutely. Right. Have people come in and say, no, geez, weren't we supposed to do only, whatever. And I'll ready to know. We'll tell Carl right away. He jumps on it right away. We get it fixed, and that's what you got to do. But listen, you want to enjoy the experience, man. Yeah, this is fun for not only you, for your family. Now, all of a sudden, now all of a sudden there's drywall.
Right.
And these kids are, they're running up to, everything's okay for them running around a little bit. They're going up to the room. Oh, I want to pick purple. And they're picking their colors. It's exciting.
Yeah.
It's fun for these people. It's fun for me to see them excited.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
You know,
That's cool.
I love that. And then there's nothing better when it's done to call you over and, man, I want to show you, take a look at it. Man, I'm so happy about my house. And it's just, you know, you're excited to go over there for them and they want to show it off.
Right.
It's great. I love it. That's the best part about the job.
No, it's a cool process. It's a cool opportunity. It's a real opportunity. I mean, there's, I'm not going to sit here and say that there's any, 100,000 new homes being built in Rochester, New
No.
York per year or anything like that. But if you are struggling with, buying something existing and you haven't looked at this option yet, definitely
And it's not,
explore,
listen, it's not for everybody. Like I said before, it's very important. If, like I said, a lot of people, they've looked at many houses. And it might not even be from a price perspective. It just might be that, hey, I just can't seem to match the layout with the kitchen or the bathroom or the
Right.
bedrooms being big enough. Or their wife has a certain taste and the husband's got another taste.
Yep.
And you just can't meld it all together on an existing house.
Sure.
You might be able to get 3 out of the 5, but they want 5 out of 5.
Sure. Here you have the opportunity.
And here you have the opportunity to get 5 out of 5.
Love it. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Tom Fox joining us today. Appreciate you guys joining in. The Anthony Butera team, Rochester Real Estate Show. You can check us out at anthonybuterateam.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get the updates with this, and stay tuned for the next one. Thanks again, guys.
Thanks for having me.